Welcome back to Idioms for IELTS. Today we're going to look at the topic of money. So just remember that in speaking you might describe your own spending habits or talk about the cost of living, etc. And in writing, usually the questions involve government budget and finance and economic inequality, etc. So slightly more formal subjects in writing. All right, so we'll look at a few idioms today, 5 in total for the speaking, and then we'll see how to rewrite them for the writing task too. Here are the idioms we're going to look at. We've got to cost an arm and a leg, to be very expensive, to live hand to mouth, to bring home the bacon, to be in the red, and to tighten the belt. All of these are useful for speaking and not for writing. And you can pause the video later, see the meaning and the example alongside each other, but I'm going to show you them individually now. All right, so to cost an arm and a leg, as I said, you usually use to. So it cost an arm and a leg, for example. You use it as a verb. So to cost an arm and a leg means that something is very expensive. So it was very expensive becomes it cost an arm and a leg. That car cost an arm and a leg. What does it mean? It means the car was very expensive. All right, a more depressing picture now, and it's to live hand to mouth, to live hand to mouth, which means you spend all your money with nothing left. So you've just got enough money to live, basically, to feed your mouth, so to speak. Many families live hand to mouth and can't save anything. Every penny they spend has to go on necessities like food, etc. Bring home the bacon. That means to earn money to support a family. You sometimes hear somebody is a breadwinner. It's a similar meaning. It's someone who brings home the bacon as someone who earns money to support their family. My dad works hard to bring home the bacon. To bring home the bacon to support the family. And to be in the red. So we've looked at a few idioms throughout the series with red, and this is another one. To be in the red, definition is that it means you owe money. If you say, I'm in the red, it means I owe money. So after Christmas shopping, I was in the red. I was in the danger zone. I owed a lot of money because you spent it all at Christmas. And this one we've seen previously, I think, in other videos, but it's to tighten the belt, which means you have to save money. Tightening the belt means to save money. Spend less money, you could say. We had to tighten our belts when I lost my job. So obviously they had to spend less money. They had to save money because they didn't have much of it. Let's look at a speaking part 2 then. So here's the question. Describe a time you spent money on something important. So you try to use some idioms. Sample answer. I bought a new laptop for university. It cost an arm and a leg, but it was worth it because I needed it for my studies. After that, I had to tighten my belt for a few months to save money, spend less because I spent a lot on the laptop. So you could try now, pause the video, try later, and describe something you bought using at least 2 of the idioms. Meanwhile, we'll go to writing task 2. So here is a standard question again for writing task 2. Some people think government should prioritize spending on the economy rather than the arts. They always talk about the arts and you shouldn't spend money on the arts. Why don't they like the arts? Anyway, do you agree or disagree? So an informal answer, a spoken answer would say if governments are in the red, they should tighten their belts and stop funding the arts. That means that if governments are in great debt or they owe a lot of money themselves, then they should tighten their belts. They shouldn't spend money on arts, basically. But if you have to write this for writing task 2, then you would become more formal and you would say something like this. When governments face budget deficits, they should reduce non-essential expenditure and focus on economic priorities. So non-essential expenditure would be the arts in this situation. All right, you can try. You take one of these idioms and try and rewrite it in a formal way in your writing task 2. So here are the idioms we've just looked at, plus the sample sentences, and it's your turn to try and reformulate them into formal written responses. So the idiom cost an arm and a leg, that car cost an arm and a leg. To live hand to mouth, many families live hand to mouth and can't save anything. To bring home the bacon, my dad works hard to bring home the bacon. In the red after Christmas shopping, I was in the red. Tighten the belt. We had to tighten our belts when I lost my job. So now you can pause the video, you can try to reformulate these into more formal sounding sentences for your writing task 2. Here are possible reformulations. Some will be simple, some will be a bit more formal sounding. Let's go. So speaking would say that car cost an arm and a leg. Simply, you could say the car was extremely expensive. Many families live hand to mouth and can't save anything. Many households live at subsistence level and struggle to save money. A little more formal sounding. My dad works hard to bring home the bacon. The father is the main income provider for the household. That's very formal. It takes away the my, if you notice. After Christmas shopping, I was in the red. Many consumers accumulate debt during the holiday season. Again, removing I and making it more formal. We had to tighten our belts when I lost my job. The family was forced to reduce spending after the job loss. So you take away our and I and you make it more formal also. Was forced, of course, I should point out, is passive. So these were the possible answers. As you can see them come up again now, they're all for writing, and I think they get progressively better. And you can see the differences in the writing task too when you're using better vocabulary, but also or more formal vocabulary. Plus, you're also using different grammar as well. So to quickly recap today's idioms, cost an arm and a leg, live hand to mouth, bring home the bacon, in the red, tighten the belt. And none of them are good for writing, but they're all pretty good for speaking if you want the higher mark in vocabulary. So if you would like some homework, you can record a speaking answer about money or spending using at least 2 of the idioms, or you could rewrite this. Many families live hand to mouth because the cost of living is so high. So you could rewrite this in a more formal way for your writing mark. And of course, I'll see you next time, and guess what the topic is next time? It's travel. So if you've enjoyed this video, please click like and subscribe below. Check out my courses at the bottom. There's links there, and I'll see you next time.